Scrum Master, the video series where I give you practical tips on how to build awesome teams. In today's video, I wanted to talk about self-organization. More specifically, what is the role of a Scrum Master to help the team self-organize? Recently, I've seen a lot of misunderstanding happening around this topic because of how we used to think about this topic and kind of how we were raised, how we studied. As we were growing up, there was always a figure in our life who is there to have authority, whether it's a parent or a teacher, or as we start working, it's going to be our manager. And because this is the conditions in which we were raised, well, we have a preconceived notion that this is how things are working. There's always going to be someone who is going to tell us what to do. Now, when we go back to Scrum, the principles and rules of Scrum, we talk about self-organization. We talk about the fact that the Scrum team and the development team is self-organizing. And I think when people hear this word, they misinterpret that, or they kind of diminish its real value or what it really means. They're trying to align it what they know so far, that there is already a hierarchical structure and there is a figure of authority who's there to tell us what to do. But when we talk about Scrum and how the Scrum was designed, it actually means that the development team and the Scrum team as a whole should be able to figure out their own way of work. The way I want to go about explaining what self-organization really is to talk about one of the misunderstood stances from the 8 Stances of a Scrum Master article. And one of those misunderstood stances is a hero. A hero is a misunderstood stance, and it says that as a hero, a Scrum Master, you are there to solve every single problem for the development team, whatever there is. Oh, there's not enough coffee cups in the drawer in the kitchen of your company. Well, you will be there to figure it out, right? Or there is a problem with the server, and you're there to figure out who needs to be contacted to resolve that problem. And why is that actually a misunderstood stance? Well, for a very clear reason that if you're a hero for your team, then you do not allow your team to self-organize and figure out their own way of working. This can relate to a lot of situations where we as Scrum Masters want to step in and help our team succeed, but sometimes we do not realize that by stepping in, we take away an opportunity for our development team to learn and figure things out. So when we talk about self-organization, it does not only apply to the work that they do, but also how they do it, their processes, communication, any dependency management that can happen, conflict resolution. All those things are also part of the team's self-organization. And as a Scrum Master, a lot of the times you first need to step away and let the team figure it out. So another thing that we often have a tendency to do as Scrum Masters is to provide solutions and kind of help solution the whole situation if there is a problem. For example, let's say your team comes to you with a problem. They have a dependency on an external team, say automation team that needs to provide them with something. And unless this other team provides them with either necessary information or necessary tools, they are unable to deliver their work by the end of the sprint. And this definitely happened to me, where one of the teams I worked with came to me and said, hey, we have this dependency, we don't know what to do, go talk to this other team. And your initial kind of intention, what you want to do by default, because you feel like you need to help your team succeed, is to go and solve this problem. Go talk to this other team, help them kind of push them so that they give the files to your team or the information that your team needs so that your team can succeed. And that's kind of a natural tendency to do it, trying to solve the problem, because, well, you think that because it's not within our team, it's external to a team, so it's got to be an impediment to the team's progress. So I have to solve it because as a Scrum Master, I should be removing impediments. But I gotta ask, in this particular situation, is this really an impediment? Is it not within your development team's control or influence to actually solve that problem? The development team and the Scrum team are a self-organizing unit. So in reality, in this case, the development team should be looking for ways to solve that problem for themselves, because their main goal is to deliver a done increment by the end of the sprint. They figure out that something prevents them from doing that. And if their first solution to that is going back to the Scrum Master and asking for resolving the problem, well, either truly self-organizing or either dependent on the Scrum Master too much. On the other hand, you might have actually an idea of how to solve the problem. Let's say not only do you go talk to the other team, but then you step in and you say, you know what, let's create a process, clear process of how we're going to manage future dependencies like that with this team. Let's figure out what is our model going to be. And that's just, once again, natural tendency, trying to find the solution. But once again, are you removing an impediment in the situation, or are you actually taking away an opportunity from the development team to self-organize? This is a very clear situation where it is within the team's control. And if you start solutioning as a Scrum Master, or if you start trying to solve the problem, well, you take away one of the biggest and most important principles and concepts that help these Scrum in general be successful: self-organization. So if you can't really solution or solve the problem in general for the development team, in this case, well, what should you be doing as a Scrum Master? Well, that's where we go back to things like teaching, coaching, facilitating. So those are the things that you should be focusing on instead. Yes, you might have some ideas in your head about how to organize it so that the development team gets their best and that they are not blocked by problems like that in the future. But at least at the beginning, you should be keeping those solutions for yourself, because maybe your solutions are the best, or maybe your development team can come up with a better solution. And you should let them do that, because we get very quickly attached to solutions that we already heard. And that kind of trumps creativity in the situation where the development team already has a solution. They don't need to go out and find something new. And instead of actually giving the solution, you can facilitate a discussion. You can say, well, I don't know the solution. I don't have a solution for you. So what do you think we should do? Well, maybe we should go and talk to this other team. Perfect. Let's do that. And then ask further, how are we going to deal with this situation in the future? Do we have solutions for that? Because you should not be providing those solutions. You might know that it's better to start thinking about the future of the situation, that it's going to happen again right now, so that you can start finding better ways of working around that in the future. But instead of just giving it away, allow your team to figure it out on their own. Maybe the first time they're not going to come up with a process to deal with these dependencies, but if they stumble upon the same problem twice, or maybe 3 times, then they will start thinking about, okay, it's the 3rd time that we're having this problem. Let's figure out a proper process to deal with that. And that's where you allow your team to self-organize, and you create much more ownership of the process within the team rather than you as a Scrum Master. And that is your whole point in the team, is to help them understand what self-organization is. And for that, sometimes you need to step away and let them figure it out, and sometimes let them fail. I hope you learned something new, and if you did, give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to this YouTube channel, as I will be uploading more insightful videos for Scrum Masters. I'd love to see you at scrummaster.com blog with your stories. Share a story with your development team and self-organization. Maybe you have a situation where you are not sure whether you should be helping your team solve the problem, provide them solutions, or let them self-organize. As you're on the website, do remember to sign up, as I'm sharing a lot of insightful tips, downloads, white papers, and my personal stories with my newsletter subscribers from now and then, as well as some special offers. I hope to see you next time. Cheers and Scrum on!